As I said earlier, my first wife was the one who suggested swinging. I never thought of it when I was looking at hobbies for us as a couple. However, you need to realize that we went through the first step for you personally. If you're the person bringing it up, I never dreamt of leaving my first wife or getting a divorce, my first wife, for the idea of swinging. I went from very conservative, like the most religious, never cheated on my wife kind of guy, to swinging, and it was a journey, a really large journey for me. But you have to realize that I would never have, I never would have left her or divorced her for the suggestion. Now there is a percentage of couples where the male brings it up and the women at 68% say it would be a divorce item. And then 40 some percent, 48% or 5% of the men say the same thing. That's really unusual that you put that limit on your relationship. So you need to really understand that you may be in that limit. You may be in that where it's disastrous bringing it up. And that's part of do your research. And you can try side conversations about, not quite touching on the subject, but just put out little feelers to see how your other spouse feels. But there is some caution there because we don't want anybody to have a harmed relationship. Eventually, the procedures and they're dealing with non monogamy, swinging as couples tend to make you stronger and happier and healthier. But there is a danger there, and this is something that you have to realize for yourself. So, thank you. Okay, so swinging was my first wife's idea, and we were leaving a cult, a very conservative religion, and she suggested it as a hobby for the couple to do, for us as a couple, and it very much surprised me. It kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, and it caused me to do a lot of research and a lot of planning. So the first advice I have for swinging male or female, whoever's going to suggest it, is to do your research. So figure out what exactly you're looking at and figure out what the numbers are, and then think about your family unit and seeing how it affects it. My first advice would be extremely careful research. And that's something that you'll have to do for yourself. The internet's maybe not the best place for it. Find research material that's kind of in between the two. I found a book that was by a doctor who said that swinging could not hurt a good marriage. It could harm a bad marriage. I don't completely agree with that. I'm not a professional, but I don't agree that it can't help a bad marriage. I think it can, and it's certainly something to try before you go to infidelity or you go to divorce court. So it might be something that you might want to research and do, and I've got some stuff on our website that'll help you with those answers, or in blogs too. So my first thing to do is self-research of whoever is the person who's coming out with it first. My ex-wife was the first person to talk about it, and it did help our marriage. Our marriage ending had nothing to do with swinging lifestyle. In fact, it was probably prolonged and helped by it. So I just wanted you to know that research is number one. So the next part is about couples planning. I talk about sexual interest in planning, but there's also some other things to plan. Couples don't always stay together, and they don't, long term, they don't always agree on things. And so having a written contract that says this is what you agree to is helpful for a couple. I've suggested it before. I'm not a lawyer. Don't plan to be one. But it has been suggested that in some states it's beneficial because they consider your marriage contract one of fidelity, depending on how it was worded, and monogamy, depending on how it was worded. And so acknowledging or doing an addendum to that perceived contract might be beneficial for you in the long run. So have a contract. Make a separate list of what the rules are for you as a couple and talk about them thoroughly. It's kind of exciting to talk about them, but talk about them and possibly write them down. Now, here's the thing about rules. They change over time the longer you're in the lifestyle, and some have been in it for 30 and 40 years, but the longer you're in the lifestyle and the longer you're together, those rules can change. And then it gives you a good idea of what your spouse finds okay and not okay. So that's another suggestion is write it down. Research it, talk about it, write it down. Thank you. Our group, Healthy couples in the lifestyle video series, but we have a group and we're designing it for couples seeking couples. It's a semi-private group, meaning that we screen out that you have to be a couple in the swinging lifestyle. New is fine, that's okay. And old hat it, that's okay too. And there are some tips for the new people, but this group is for couples seeking couples. There's no global sale of information. We're not selling your information like the other large sites, which is really kind of scary because of the criminal element, but we don't do that. We're in the United States only because we're a meetup group. It makes no sense to advertise anywhere else or to get people from any other country because we're not a pick trader group or anything. We're just about meeting and events. There's no fake or catfish. It won't do anybody any good to fake it because they won't be allowed in the events or parties. There are tips on our website about how to swing. If you're a newbie or if you're new at it, there's some tips for healthy swinging, and there's a way for an event review so you can send back if the event is not up to your liking and why. That review page will be sent back to us so that we can track the really good hosts and those who make you feel very comfortable at their lifestyle event. Okay, thank you.